Here's the process we're going to do on these losses under the tile. On this side, we're kind of crumbly, so normally we'll do it just on the backs. This one is good and solid, so we don't need to worry about it, and we'll just do it on the back. But this one, because of the crumbly cement, we're going to apply some epoxy on this side first, just to make sure we get the solid. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a sheet of Mylar and cut it roughly to fit in there, just to prevent our blocking material, which you'll see in a minute, from sticking to our epoxy. So we'll just and we'll want to leave a little flap up as a grabbing mechanism, just to make it easier to pull out in the end. And let's trim this a bit.
So having it flush on two sides is enough, as long as you have enough tips on at least two other sides to be able to pull out the line afterwards. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're not going to pack it so much like we did with
that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it was much worse. So then we want to make sure that our
Here. You got your knife.
Yeah, I can use this thing here.
Do you save these?
Not that
pieces?
small. Not that small. Okay. We want to trim this up so it fits pretty good in there. We don't need that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of tape down. This very low tack painter's tape, just to hold everything kind of in place, and also create more of a barrier so we don't leak out. And then we just force that into place. This is just styrofoam. We do We also have some ethafoam, which works very, very well. So we push that into place. Okay, so now we've got that all nice and fitted and all ready to go. So now we're going to put a piece of Mylar if you'll grab the camera. We'll put a piece of Mylar underneath so that any residue, so that our epoxy that we're going to apply doesn't stick to our undercoating, because then we're going to turn it around and fill the other side at the same time. So let's make up our epoxy. Here, I'll make one up on camera. That's good. So now our epoxy is this. It's a 2-to-1 mix, and we can eyeball it. Put a ribbon in, scrape it off. And this is our number 2. Takes 2 of these. And 1 of these, so that it then matches our amount. Let's add a little bit more. Now, if we wanted to, we could add a little bit of dry pigment to this. And we're going to do that when it comes time to filling these little chips that are in the tile. Rather than replace them, we're going to just fill them with the same tinted epoxy. And that will come much later. So this epoxy has about a 20-minute working time, so we'll spend a couple of minutes making sure it is mixed very well. Really, really important that it is mixed very well, because unmixed areas will just be another weak link in the chain. About 2 minutes for this amount should be plenty.
If it's a greater amount, do you want to mix it longer?
Well, maybe a little bit, just because you've got more volume to play with. But this is generally the amount we've been mixing at a time. Okay, so now we want to really push it in. And any of these loose pieces that we find, let's just get rid of them. We don't need them. They will just become a problem. So the idea is to get into all the cracks and consolidate because if we were to just do this from the other side, it really would not get into the damage that we're experiencing on this side.
Would it be good to vacuum these out before we actually did this process and on the face
It wouldn't
side?
hurt.
On the face side?
Yeah, do you have a little vacuum to bring?
I don't, but
I do.
Okay. I'm just thinking of those little crusty pieces that are.
Okay, that should be plenty, and that's all we really need just to give our side, this side, some strength. And we are going to come from the other side, which we'll do in a second. So we come back with our Mylar, which is on our tape. Yeah, a little bit more. Our tape is to hold everything into place and also create a dam so that we don't get leakage from the other side, and this will keep our bottom nice and secure. And because we're going to be flipping this over, we're going to want to give ourselves a piece of tape.
Stronger.
Sure. Another piece of tape just to hold that in place so it doesn't fall out. All right, let's set this over here. We'll turn it over. Let's turn it so that that's next to me. Okay. So here's the opposite side of that same one we just did. And our tape is just to mark it. But as you can see, we've got a lot of loss here because, what is this stuff?
Durarock? It's
Durarock. And so it's very brittle, to be honest. And so because of the handling and taking it off of the wall before removing the bolts, it's caused quite a bit of loss and damage. And we need that support for when this goes back up onto the wall outside. This is an exterior piece. All that's holding it on will be these bolts. And so we need to have this section very strong. And so instead of using the Durabond to patch it, we're going to use epoxy because it will be stronger. And in fact, it'll be a little bit on the flexible side for any kind of slight movement that we get due to expansion and contraction from heat from the sun and all of that. So let's mix up, we have some more in our...
We're going to mix up additional.
Yeah, so as you can see, our epoxy from the other side has come through, and that's fine. We have plenty of working time. This is the same that I mixed for the other side, and we're going to need a little bit more because of the big losses we've got here. So in it goes, and we really want to mush it in, get it in all areas of contact. And I mean really, really mush it in. And because we have such a nice working time of about 20 minutes with this epoxy product, if we have a little bit left over, we'll just go on to the next hole. It's kind of expensive, so we want to make sure we do not waste it. Those 2 tubes are about $85. So, and I like this epoxy. I use it on exterior stone, gravestones, public art, anything that needs strength, real strength. Now what we're also going to do is add a fiberglass mesh to the back. For security reasons, just to make sure that we have all the strength in the world. We do not want to risk this material crumbling, this Durarock crumbling anymore. You can see that we do have cracks. Some are fairly superficial. We may deal with those, and that might be on another video. All right, so there's that. Clean off my tool. Acetone works well for just wiping this material off. We'll take our squirt bottle, add a little bit to our paper towel, Bounty paper towel, of course, and we'll just wipe that off. Always clean your tools. So, here's our fiberglass mesh, and we're going to make sure this area is covered. And then we're going to put down another layer of epoxy on it. And as you can see, we have this gap here, so we're going to, never here. How long you been at this?
Always leave a tail, but
Yeah.
it's hard to remember though.
It is. It'll go back on its own too.
Yeah, exactly. This stuff is such a bugger.
I wonder if one of those packing tape handles.
Dispensers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would.
I have some at home. Here, I found it.
Yeah, if you got an old beat up one. All right, cut me a piece about maybe 6 inches. Yeah,
6 inches.
maybe. And we'll cut this this little corner.
Okay.
Okay, that should be pretty good. These are sacrificial. So, we'll want to make sure we fill these voids in the mesh and also feather it out to the edges. And make sure that we're going to re-drill through these holes. So we want to make sure that they're filled enough. And we're going to get a sample of the bolt that the installers are going to use, and they better be stainless steel. Okay.
Air on this side.
Yeah. And then we do the same. Then we just gently smooth it, making sure that our voids are filled. We have good contact with the Durabond, and that all areas are filled. You can see these kind of depressions in here. That one we're going to leave, but if we find others that are very compromised, then we'll go ahead and fill them as well. But this, we can't afford to do this whole back simply because of the amount of this product. And that is going to do us. We do have some cracks, larger cracks, that we'll do this mesh to as well. Oops. Oh, crud. All right, now we have a little bit of this left, but we can go on to the next one and do that.
Now, the other thing we haven't done is we haven't filled these others. But we can finish this one. This one still needs to be finished.
Okay, let's. I think that's enough of this video for now.